Is there a way to make the power grid more resilient down there if electricity is so vital because there are so few other substitutes in terms of a power source?
Well, one of the things that some of the infrastructure could do is have their own gen set relying on natural gas, because the pipelines are generally underground to that infrastructure, and they can run their own backup power. Some refineries, some pieces of infrastructure actually have that. But as was said earlier, it's pretty difficult to lay new infrastructure through bayous, rivers, swamps, and marshes. So some places are stuck with the way it is and having over the ground power lines, which unfortunately easily get knocked down. And if a tower gets knocked down, it takes a little bit longer than just stringing up wire.
Right, exactly. So, just looking at the fallout of this, the second major storm in 15 years, tons more in the meantime that we rarely talk about, water problems, potentially sewage problems, electricity problems. I mean, you name it. A lot has been said over the past 15 years about the levee system and how that can, deal with floods. But what more now should be done to protect the grid? And I guess also to bring this back to investors, what happens to the price of oil and gasoline from here?
Well, usually over the past 20 years, our production from offshore as a percent of total production has gone down. It used to be 30% for natural gas, now down to about 3%. And oil production in the age of shale, most of the production has moved to onshore. So usually hurricanes, in terms of those base raw commodities, natural gas and crude oil, is a bearish event because demand gets knocked off. More demand gets knocked off, and for a longer period of time, demand gets knocked off relative to supply. The supply, these platforms are robust. They've gone through many storms. They're engineered to withstand Cat 5s. And so supply is a short-term blip, but then the demand takes a while because we got to string up a lot of power lines to get this infrastructure going. And in terms of making it more robust, I think that's on a plant-by-plant basis, seeing whether the economics work, whether or not to install your own gas-fired backup gen. Generally, they've done the math, I believe, and sometimes it's not worth it to them.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.